This video will give you an overview of the exciting new games design competition in Purple Mash. On the left, in the feature panel, you'll see an item for the games design competition. In here, you'll find everything you need to know about the competition, from teacher instructions to help videos and user guides, example games and display boards to share your completed games too. You'll also find all the tools you need to build your game. If you're a teacher and you open up the teacher instructions, you'll find lots of information about how the game design competition is going to run. You'll also find a slideshow, which you can use with your class or group to introduce the competition. This will include things like the design brief, to work as a team of 6 to design a 2-level game on 2DIY 3D with graphics and sounds linked to the theme of Around the World. You'll see the contents and pointers for how to be successful. It also includes some instructions for designing the game. Underneath that, you'll see some printable PDF instructions to support you. You may find it useful to print these off for the children. We're going to have a look at how to make a computer game now using 2DIY 3D. Here I've got an open game. It's a game on a different theme with a narrative created by some Key Stage 2 children. And we're going to start by having a look at the game they've planned and created. Dragon's Rage. A baby dragon has wreaked havoc on the forest. You need to escape the castle in time. Be careful on your quest. The dragon will follow you. So in this game, the children have created some ambient background music, and they've used 2Paint-a-Picture to create their images of a burning forest. They've added a ground and a sky, and they've placed a dragon carefully into the forest for us to avoid. Now I can move through the maze game using my arrow keys here, and I can find the door that will get me out of the forest and into the castle, which they've also drawn. At the next level, they've changed the music, they've changed the ambience, and when I click play, we are now in a castle environment. The music is slightly more sinister, and this time we've got to collect and find 2 keys to escape the castle. If you look to the top right here, we've got a map. We can see the baddies in red, and the 2 keys are going to be in these yellow places. I'm actually fairly near one, so let's go and collect that key. So here's this game in edit mode. What does it look like in 2DIY 3D? You can see here we've got walls that children have made in 2Paint-a-Picture. We've got some water around that has been added for us to avoid, as well as the baby dragon in the middle. This is me, this is my starting point, so I will start here to move around the game. If the children want to edit any of their objects, they can click on them. This one here has been drawn in, but as well as drawing, there's lots of other options for customizing the game using your own images and photographs. On the left-hand side here, you'll see lots of options. You'll see options for adding things like the fire and the water and editing the walls. You'll also see options for adding the ground, the ceiling, the sky, and anything else such as lighting, music and wall height. To the top to the right here, you'll see the levels, and if we click to go back, we can see the previous level that we completed when we were playing the game. We can move back and forth through the levels here. You'll notice this particular game does go on to a 3rd level. However, for the games design competition, we are asking you to submit 2 levels maximum. Pupils may think about the ways their game could develop through further levels and consider that in the planning of their first 2 levels, but we are asking only for submission of 2 levels only for each game submitted. We're going to have a look at how the game we've been looking at was made. The graphics and music were made using the Purple Mash tools, and those most relevant tools have been put into the competition area. We're going to start by looking at 2Paint-a-Picture. When you open 2Paint-a-Picture, you'll see a range of styles. In the example of the castle walls, the children came in here and selected the simple style. They chose the grey colour pen from the left-hand side. And then underneath that, they selected the fill tool and filled the background. They removed the text from underneath, and then they clicked on New to choose another style and chose Mosaic. They chose to use the same picture, and then they used the paint tools on the left-hand side to paint darker grey mosaic over the top to give that castle wall feeling. And once they finish painting the image, they can go up to the menu to save this. Inside the class folder, they'd created a shared folder for the components of the game. So here we're going to write the name of the file, Castle Walls, and in this same folder we can save things like the forest fire and the bushes for the outside, and any other images we want to create for our game, the ceiling or the floor, and later we can get these files from here and import them into the game. To the right of 2Paint-a-Picture, you've got 2Beat and 2Sequence, 2 music tools. The children creating this game used 2Sequence. When you open 2Sequence, you'll see lots of tabs along the bottom. These are the sounds that you can add in. You can click on them to hear them. To the right hand side you'll see My Sounds, and here you can import your own sounds or music into TwoSequence. Any of the sounds along here can be dragged up and used in your score. Let's pop a couple in. There's scales, there's sound effects. The idea is really that you can bring them in, you can bin them if you don't want them, and you can keep listening to your track to see how it sounds. At the top here you can adjust the number of beats, you can adjust the tempo, and to the right hand side here you can adjust the volume of each channel. Let's listen to this one. I mean, that'll be fine for this demonstration, so I'm going to go up to my menu and pop it into my Escape the Castle folder. So now we've had a look at how to generate images in 2Paint2Picture and how to generate sound in Music and Sound, we're going to go into 2DIY3D. In here, amongst the documents you've got for planning and designing the game, at the top you've got 2DIY3D itself. Do have a look through some of these documents. For example, the printable grid is great laminated, and the children can work on it as a team if they'd like to plan their game. It's good also to get the children to think about app marketing and the direction their game is going to take. When you open 2DIY3D, you're presented with two levels, the Simple Game and the My Game. Beneath My Game, it will tell you what's in My Game that isn't in Simple Game. Today, we're going to jump straight into My Game. As mentioned before, on the left-hand side, you've got your options for walls, floors, ceilings, wall height, music, etc. On the right-hand side, you've got your good things, your objects to collect. Change these into things like collecting the keys, the door to go through, and then you've got your baddies, the things to avoid. To the top right, you've got the levels, and you can use the arrows to move between the levels you've created. To the right of the levels, you've got the instructions for that level. So once the children have created the level, they can come in here and write the title and instructions for that level, as well as control things like the game time, the game over, level completed sounds, and the number of lives the player's got. To add on your good things, your objects that count as your goodies, you just simply drag them on from the right hand side. You can click and move them around if you want to, and it's the same with the baddies. To add your walls on the left hand side, you can choose the wall style, and then you simply click once to add it in, or once to remove it. You can click and hold down and drag a row if you'd like. Let's put a couple of different types of wall on. Now on the left hand side here, you'll see when the wall is selected, there is an edit pen on it. So clicking on the wall will allow you to come in and change it. You can clear what's there using this button here. You can import your own using this button here. We do have a library of different clip art, and there are some wall examples in here. However, you can choose a file. You can take a picture. If you choose a file, you can go into from your PC and choose a file from external, so you can add things like photographs or things you've made or found elsewhere. Just be careful of the copyright. Or in this case, I'm going to go into Robbins and Escape the Castle and find my castle walls picture. When I open that, that will change anything that's this type of wall into the castle walls. So that's adding and editing the walls on the left hand side. Beneath the walls, you've got water that you can add, and you can change the colour of the water, and you simply click and add water in the same way. So water to the floor. You can add fire to the floor, and clicking on the fire again, you can change the colour of the fire. Okay, and then you can add fire to the floor. Underneath that, you can add ground, and again, you go to the picker, you can choose a file, use your own photograph. If you want any further images, then you can search in here and it will bring up alternatives as well. So you've got a variety of different images that you can add in there. So you can add ground, you can add ceiling, you can add sky. So that's what comes up around the edge of your game. Okay, you can add other, so you can add lighting, so you can make this level in your game darker or lighter. You can alter the wall height, and you can add background music, which again you can choose from our galleries, or if you've made a file or imported a file, you can upload into here from your, in this case, Escape the Castle folder, the music that we made earlier. So we've started to put this level together. Let's have a little look and see what it looks like. Okay, we didn't put any instructions in at the point when I showed you that, so that didn't come up. There you can see there's water on the floor. There's our castle walls. And then we've got our goodies and our baddies. So I'm going to just choose this back arrow to the top right to go back in and edit my game. What we haven't had a look at is how to change our good things, our goodies and our baddies. So I'm going to just click on one of these and that will bring up this box here. And again, in similar way to the walls, I can use this button at the top here to clear my image. I can use this button next to it to import from our clip art galleries, and there's plenty In here, there's plenty of categories to choose from. There is a search, and there's the option to choose file as well if children have drawn it in another application and saved it into perhaps a shared file, or want to use something from outside of Purple Mash on their computer. So quite simple to change each of these. If you change one and you want all the rest to be the same, then you can use this button at the top here to copy the settings you've just changed this one to all the other good things on your game design. To the right here also, you can adjust the movement of that object, of that goodie, the actions for that goodie. You can add sound effects, and you can alter the number of points it scores when the player collects it. So quite a few different things you can do in here. I can do the same with the baddie. I can change one baddie, or I can change all the baddies. I can import from clip art galleries. I can import my own images. I can use photographs, and I can also adjust the settings for that baddie here on the right hand side, including the damage. As the children are making their game, if they get stuck, they can always go to the top right videos button to find help. Children should ensure they save their game regularly as they work. When you have a final entry to submit, you go up to the menu to the top left and click on Share. At the bottom of the share list, click on Display Board. In here, make sure you choose the correct Games Design Competition display board for the region that your school is in. We are really excited to play the games that you design. Don't forget to stick to the theme of Around the World and submit your entries by March the 1st.